What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk podcast. I got my guy Andrew with me. This time we've worked out all the kinks and everything is gonna work now, and we're gonna get into it. Tevin Campbell had the right question, but with the wrong intentions. He said, "Can we talk for a minute?" And this is exactly what we are going to do today. We're gonna talk, and we're gonna talk about the three F's: faith, family, and football, because those are three things that are important to me, important to Andrew, and we're going to get into that today. So first off, real quick, Andrew, uh, one thing that I know and I love about you is I've been able to see you in different facets of your life. But for starters, can you share a little bit about your faith?
Yeah. Grew up in a Christian home. My father was in the military for 26 years. He was in the Army. And when he got out the Army, he felt God calling him to be a pastor. So I became a preacher's kid after my father was in the military. Prototypical preacher's kid, always in church anytime the doors were open, usually because my dad was the one unlocking the doors and making me go with him. And then obviously the same thing, I was the rebellious preacher's kid. When I got into my later years in high school and kind of in my college years of playing football, I really had that feeling like I don't need Jesus. I can do life on my own. I know what I'm doing. That dumb kid that just thought he had it all figured out, was married very early on, had a kid when I was very young, and just was living life, what I thought was living life. I was going out, I was drinking, I was hanging around the wrong people, I was doing drugs, all while working full time, trying to take care of my wife and kids. And it just felt like everything I tried to fill life with just wasn't enough, whether it was people, whether it was money, whether it was success, whether it was alcohol. It just never was enough. And I remember really in my lowest point of, thinking about, there's nothing, I can't do anything right. Everything I do is being screwed up. I love my wife and kids, but I'm just going to end it all. And I was contemplating suicide. I remember sitting in my bathroom in my house and just holding my gun. I even said goodbye to my boys. And I remember my wife banging on the door, just yelling don't do this, don't do this, don't leave us. And I remember in that moment, just and I'm gonna get emotional, but I remember in that moment, I could hear Jesus just speaking to me saying, I got something better for you. I got something planned for you. When are you going to stop this stupid act and just come back to what I have for you? And I've had it for you since the time you were a little kid. And I remember opening that door and just my wife just hugging me. And then the funny story is that, my mom and dad, my dad is still a preacher at this time. And they went to this convention, this Southern Baptist convention for preachers. And I'm living in Odessa, Texas at this time. And if you don't know where Odessa is, it's home of Friday Night Lights. And that's really all that is there, right? It's some stoplights, it's a Chili's and football. And that's really it. And the oil patch. And that is it. And so my mom and dad go to this Southern Baptist convention in Dallas, Texas, and they get sat down at this table. And across from them sitting at this table is a pastor and his wife from Odessa, Texas. And of course, when preachers get together, they start talking about their kids. And so my mom says, yeah, my son and my daughter-in-law live in Odessa. And the pastor says, well, we minister in Odessa. We'd love to meet your son and his family, and got a business card. And my mom gave me that card. And I'll never forget him. Ivy and Amy Shelton were the pastors at Sherwood Baptist Church in Odessa, Texas. And my mom gave me that card. And I said, okay, I'm going to go, right? I'm going to go. And we go to church the first Sunday, and the pastor preaches on Ephesians 2:8-9, right? That salvation is a gift. It is a gift. It's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to obtain it. It's only because of your faith in Jesus Christ that you truly can have salvation. And what's crazy is walking into that church, I actually have Ephesians 2:8 and 9 tattooed on my arm. It is my favorite Bible verse. And that's what the pastor preached on. And I remember sitting there going, okay. You win. What do you want? Right? And he said, get involved. Well, they had vacation Bible school the very next week. And so I went to the lady that was in charge. Obviously, they bring her up front. She says, I need help. Any volunteers? And I took my two sons and I said, myself and my two sons would love to help with vacation Bible school. And I've been to this church one time and became the rec leader for vacation Bible school literally the next day. Right now, I've been in church my whole life. I know how to do church, but this was different. Right? It felt different. I spent 10 years at that church before I moved to Austin, Texas. It's where I found Jesus. It's where I truly found Jesus Christ. It's where I truly got my salvation, where I found out who he is and who he is in my life. I went to Peru. I watched my sons go to Panama on mission trips, and I truly gave my life to Jesus when I was 30 years old, and truly came back and changed my life. My life has been completely different. Like from the moment that he said, come back, and I said, yes, Father, I'm here. What do you need? He has just blessed my life from that moment. And I look back, Pastor, and I'm like, and I can see the moments where Christ was working in my life, even when I was not working with him, even when I was running away from him, even when I was Jonah in the boat trying to get away from God, as far away from God as possible. I could see him working. I saw the times where he saved my life, where I got home from going out with friends that I don't know how I got home. I don't know how the car got in the driveway, how I ended up in the house. I don't know. All I can say is Jesus was there in those moments. Now, he doesn't condone those things that I was doing, but he knew he had a plan, and he knew I was going to come back to him and turn my life around. And so when we talk about the 3 F's, faith is the most important thing. And so, you know, in the clip that you guys have probably seen from the podcast, I want people at the end of my life to say, that was a Jesus freak right there. He cared more about Jesus than anything else. I've done a lot of great things in my life. I got 3 beautiful kids. I got 1 grandson. I got another grandson on the way. I got a beautiful wife. But when people put me in the ground, or they put me in an urn, or wherever they're going to put me, I hope they say, he led people to Jesus. People came to know who Jesus was because of what Andrew did in his life. And that is the most important thing to me. Everything else pales in comparison with my salvation to Jesus Christ.
I love it when you go to a new church, or you visit, watch online or whatever, and you've never had a conversation with the pastor, and all of a sudden the pastor is preaching a message that you specifically need to hear. That's happened to me a few times. I follow a pastor out in Dallas. The church is called Social Dallas with Robert Madu. Shout out to him. And it seems like every time I log in and listen to a message, he's speaking directly to what it is that I'm walking through or going through. And I'm like, man, I haven't even had a conversation with the brother. He's speaking directly to me. There was 1 week they were in a series, and he says, I feel like I need to divert from this series and talk about something else, because there's somebody that needs to hear this message. And I'm listening to it through Spotify, and I'm like, it's me. I'm that person. How did you know this? How did you know the exact message that I needed to hear? What is
Amen.
going on? But it's a true testament to when we have that relationship with the Holy Spirit, and we can listen to him, and we're obedient, because we know that whatever message that we're given, it's going to reach somebody, and it's for somebody. And I love that. I have to give a huge shout out to a friend of mine, because she's the reason where I'm at now. Because if she wasn't plugging in the college ministry that she was a part of, constantly inviting me years ago when I was walking through my mess, if she doesn't do that, then I don't know how I'm sitting here and in the position that I'm in today. So I love what God is doing. I love how Jesus uses others to reach us, especially when we're in our mess.
Yep.
It's hard for us to see or hard for us to hear.
Yep.
You spoke a little bit about your family. Uh, I've had the opportunity of seeing one of your sons uh, on a stream one day. So those of you that don't know, uh, Andrew, he's a streamer. One day I was just many years ago, almost 10 years ago, I was just scrolling through Facebook trying to figure out something to watch, something to do on Facebook, and his stream popped up, and I think he was playing 2K at the time, playing with my Mavericks. I was like, man, it's somebody to watch. And so I started watching. I started checking out his game. Good 2K player, good Madden player as well. So I'm gonna give him his props. There was times where I was sending him messages like, "Hey man, how can I get better at this game?" Uh, but the content that he has, it was amazing. I was like, man, I got to keep watching. So I started watching the content, and then I hear his faith, and I see him on stream talking about his faith, and it's what kept me going, kept me watching. I'm like, man, he's a Mavericks fan, Cowboys fan. He lives in Texas, and he's talking about faith. Man, I got to keep watching. And then he brought in family. So as much as you want to share about your family, what it's like being a husband, being a father, and all the joys that come.
Yeah, I mean, I met my beautiful wife in the craziest place in a Walmart in Coppers Cove, Texas, which is where I graduated high school from. And so I met her there. And the instant I saw her, and Pastor, the same thing with your wife. When you see her for the first time, you're like, whoa, I knew God made some beautiful things, but man. And so I told her that. And I told her the very first time I met her that she was the most beautiful creature I've ever seen on this earth. And the rest is just history. I've been with her for 26 plus years. July 21st, we'll be married 24 years. I have 3 beautiful children, 26, 21, and my daughter is 17. I have 1 grandson. I have another one that's on the way. But how important family is, right? That is, next to my faith with Jesus, my family is the most important thing. I couldn't do this life without my partner. In the Bible, God created Adam and he was like, something's just not right, right? Adam needs help. If you listen to my wife, it's because Adam was doing it wrong and that God had to send someone to make sure Adam was doing it right. So she is my Eve. She's walked through the fire with me, the ups, the downs, the positives, the negatives. She's my rock. She's the one that has no problem giving me a hug and say it's going to be okay. She's also the same one that could put her foot in my rear end and say, come on, man, let's go. We got to change something, right? She's the woman that's sitting next to me in church, lifting her hands, praising God every single Sunday. She's amazing. And then, when you talk about my kids, there's no better joy than watching your kids being born, watching them grow up, have their own personality, watching them come to know who Jesus is. I was blessed. I was blessed that my 2 older sons, even when I wasn't following Jesus, they were involved in church because my parents were close. So my mom and dad made sure that my kids were always at church. And because of my parents' faithfulness, both my boys came to know who Jesus was. And then I remember my daughter coming in my room one night and she goes, I want to know who Jesus is and I want a relationship with him. And I remember leading my daughter in a prayer and her coming to know who Jesus was. I remember baptizing her. I still have her baptism on my phone. Was one of the greatest days of my life, baptizing my daughter. And now my son, my middle son that you've seen on stream, we call him Expert Junior, who now I won't let him on my stream now because he's better than me at mostly every video game. He would probably put me to shame. I know he would beat me in 2K. He was here not too long ago, and we play video games every time he comes. He put a beating on me in some 2K. I still got him on Madden, but 2K he's definitely better than me. But I remember my middle son coming to me. He was probably 12 or 13. He was like, I feel God calling me. And I said, well, good. God calls everybody. And he said, no, I feel God calling me into ministry. And I was like, okay, that's a road I don't know anything about. So let's make a phone call. And so we called my father. My father's been a mentor for him. And God has put so many amazing people in his life. He's an ordained minister, a youth pastor in Brownfield, Texas, right outside of Lubbock. Has an amazing church home, amazing lead pastor, got a great guy that leads worship. He's in a great spot. He has a great wife that's the BSM director at a college that's doing student ministry at a college. Just an amazing woman of God. To watch my son stand in the pulpit and prepare God's word and preach God's word. Like, there are a lot of things I can be proud of. My son played football and basketball for me. I got to be his coach as he was a homeschool kid. I watched the kid make an all-state team as a linebacker in football. One of the proudest days of my life to watch my son get acknowledged as one of the greatest football players in the state of Texas for six-man football. But nothing is prouder than when he sends me a video and says, hey, man, I got to preach this Sunday, and I get to watch my son preach about God, preach the word of God, and handle his word so well. He's seen me stand in the pulpit and preach in foreign countries and in church at home in Odessa. And I'm in awe at how God is blessing my son to handle his word. And I know there's a church somewhere, and I don't know when it's going to happen. He's having a blast being a youth pastor right now, but at some point he wants to be a lead pastor in a church. And I know God has that church already picked out. He's preparing that church. He's preparing my son for that church. I can't wait for that day. But that is the proudest moment, is my son being in ministry and standing in God's pulpit and just doing a great job with student ministry, with his youth group. They just went to Peru with their youth group. They just got back, then they went to youth camp. It's amazing. And I know that the only reason that all that is possible because of God's unwavering grace and his faith and he never stops working on me as a father, as a husband. And so family, we talk faith is the most important thing, but right after that is family. It is the most important thing. And, I know it's important to you. I remember sitting in those chairs watching you get married to your wife. And I strictly remember, right? I remember the look on your face when she came around the corner where those trees were and she came down the aisle. I remember, Pastor, if y'all never seen Pastor get emotional, I've seen it firsthand. My wife and I sitting there. I remember that look on your face. And the only reason I remember it is because I remember that look on my face when my wife came through the doors of the church at Robertson Avenue Baptist Church with my dad fixing to marry us. And so I know how important family is to you. Last time we talked, God talks about family in the Bible almost 400 times. He mentions it is in his word. It's important to God too. It's important. He talks about a man finding his wife, leaving his mom and dad and leaving his parents and finding a wife. And he says it's a good thing. And when God says it's a good thing, you can put that, stamp it, take it to the bank. It's a good thing. And so I'll never stop thanking him for my wife, for my kids, for my grandkids. It's so important to me. And I know it's important to you.
Yeah, when you said that, it took me back to the first time I actually met my wife. We met in a college ministry. A mutual friend of ours introduced us, and all I could see was like, man, she is beautiful. Uh, then we left, we walked away, and she actually slid into my DMs that night. She sent me a message because I remember taking a friend back to campus, taking him back home. I'm driving and she's sending me a message, and I'm like, man, okay, I'm trying to respond and drive at the same time, and then hurry up and meet some guys because we were going out to dinner that night. And so I wasn't too responsive as much as she wanted me to be. But then once I got to a place where I could really sit down and message her like, hey, I'm sorry for the delayed response, or I wasn't too attentive. I was taking a friend home and I was meeting some guys for dinner, but I'm very attentive, and we started talking after that. But that day of the wedding, uh, I remember because I had my back to her. Uh, it was just it was the anticipation, uh, because I didn't know how the makeup was going to be, didn't know how the dress was going to look on her. I didn't know any of that. So that was first time pure reaction, and all I could think about at that time is like, man, God has already created something beautiful, and now that beauty gets to be mine. And so as I'm sitting there in anticipation, ready to turn around and see her, once I turned around, that's when all of the emotions started flowing. It's like, Lord, you put something beautiful inside of my hands, inside of my life.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I love that. Uh, but for your son, man, student ministry can be difficult. At times, it's a roller coaster. You're gonna have
Oh
some
yeah.
high highs, some really low lows. Uh, but you truly find the ones that are in it for the right reason. How long has he been out there?
He's been at this church for about 3 years now. And this is what's so crazy is you and him are so alike, right? Like Brandon is one of those guys that he doesn't do anything halfway. Like if he's going to do something, he's jumping 2 feet in, deep in, let's go, whatever I got to do to get involved in these kids' life outside of church. And I think that's important, right? I think when you and I talked about how important that is to not just keep it in those 4 walls of saying you got to come to this building for me to be involved in your life. You're at their basketball games, you're at their school, you're at their events. My son is announcing basketball games for kids at school. He's reffing basketball games. He's at the volleyball game. I mean, he is diving 2 feet in to meet these kids where they're at, because how many kids are you just not going to meet at your church because they're just not going to come, right? Either their parents don't have them involved in church, or maybe they go to a different church, or maybe they're just not active at all. And they're begging for somebody to come and show them Jesus, even though they don't know it. They're begging for that attention. And you give him that attention of Jesus to say, listen, I know a guy that came to this earth. He stretched his arms out. He took nails for you, took your sin, died on this cross, and then rose again so that you could have eternity and glory with him. And these students, just like you said, sometimes there's people that show up to these events for the wrong reasons, or they're just coming because, it's something to do. But there are truly kids that are crying out for something different than what this world has to offer. And I know how much of it is your heart and how much you want to just lead kids to know who Jesus is. And my son is the same way. That's why you two are so alike. And just your passion for these young kids, that the world is telling them they're not enough. What they're going through is all these people they see on social media are doing it the right way. You just have to do it like them. And they're being led astray, and they need someone to tell them the truth. And I pray all the time for my son, for, I know you talked to my guy Shane at First Priority. I pray for my guy Shane. I pray for Pastor. Student ministry is difficult. And if we don't have faithful guys like you, like Shane, like my son, Brandon, leading the charge to lead these kids to know who Jesus is, man, this world is hurting. And so, he calls me all the time like, man, you won't believe what just happened. Man, 2 kids came to know who Jesus were tonight at a basketball game, Dad, at a basketball game. And I'm like, Jesus is everywhere. That's amazing. I'm like, what you mean? Like in the middle of the basketball? You're like, no, Dad, like I'm announcing the game. After the game, we're talking, and I'm leading these kids to know who Jesus, man, just, typically when he calls me and he's excited, man, it's something to do with Jesus. And man, I just love that, when we get to heaven, to meet all the people that have come to know who Jesus is because of guys like you and my son's faithfulness to step out in faith, and God's calling you to this ministry and you say, let's go, and you go. Sometimes there's that's the hardest part, right? It's that first step to say, okay, you called me, let's go. And I'm going to be that vessel for you. So Yeah, it's amazing, man. And I love to hear about your ministry. And I know you love those kids, the football team, the basketball team, every way that you can get involved, man. I know you're so involved and you love every one of those kids. And none of those kids will be able to say, hey, nobody told me about Jesus, because Pastor Shavari is right there telling you every time he gets a chance.
Yeah. One of my mentors and a good friend, his name is Casey Murphy. If you're in ministry, I want you to check out this part because it's going to help you. But he said, people don't know how much they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's one reason
Amen.
why, if I have an opportunity to pour into a student, I'm taking it. If I have an opportunity to go support a student, I'm taking it. Any opportunity I have. Why? Because I want them to know that I care. Because once they know that, then they're going to turn around and, okay, I'm going to give you some time. I want to hear what it is that you have to say. And I want to hear about this Jesus person. Because once you put that money in the bank, once you deposit that, now you can go out and do what it is that you want to do. If I don't have the money in the bank, if students don't know that I care, they're never going to
Yep.
get that opportunity to say, hey, this is who Jesus is. This is
Yep.
who Christ is. You won't have it unless you force it. And at that point, they're not going to be receptive. And so we have to show up in students' lives, in members' lives, and say, hey, I'm here to support you and what you have going on. And so I'm right here. And so people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And so this last part that we're going to talk about, we need to discuss it. I see the jersey, I see the banner, and we're going to talk about it because we need to.
Yeah.
It's football. We're both Cowboys fans. It's been a while
Mm.
since we've seen any kind of championship besides uh, a divisional championship. But man, how are you feeling about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really loving Schottenheimer as the coach, the culture he's trying to build. I love the pickup of George Pickens from the Steelers. They went out and brought some veterans in at running back. They drafted really, really well. Obviously in the draft at pick 12, I was like, they got to get a wide receiver to help CeeDee Lamb, and they went offensive lineman. And Tyler Booker is a great offensive lineman, but we didn't know how important that draft was till we see the trade for George Pickens a little bit later. But offensively, I'm not too concerned about this offense. If Dak is healthy, to me, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He should have won the MVP back when Lamar won it. But Dak healthy with the weapons he got, with CD, with George Pickens, hopefully Jake Ferguson, which is one of my favorite players because he went to the University of Wisconsin. Hopefully he can get back to that rookie year where he was just lights out. They got Schoonmaker. They got the kid from Texas in the backfield, Jaden Blue. So I live in Austin, Texas. I've seen almost every Longhorn game because when the Longhorns win, it's good for the city of Austin. It's good for my business at the airport. And Jaden Blue is one of those guys where if he gets a crease, he is gone. It's over with. He's got that kind of speed. He was the fastest running back at the combine. I really like him. And then they got Maffa from Clemson, who's kind of, if you're old enough to remember this, back in the USC days when they had Matt Leinart at quarterback, they had thunder and lightning in their backfield, right? Reggie Bush was the lightning. He was gone, right? But they had a bruiser in that backfield. When they got inside the 5, you were handing him the ball 3 times. He was getting in the end zone. That's kind of what the Cowboys. Yes. And that's kind of what the Cowboys are looking for. Jaden can be that lightning in the bottle where if he gets a crease, he's gone. And then you got that bruiser and Maffa. But they also got a couple veteran guys there. Williams from the Broncos has come over. So we'll see how they do. But I think my biggest question is this defense, right? You got Trayvon Diggs coming off of injury. You got Deron Bland coming off of injury. You got Overshown coming off of an injury. You got Micah Parsons in a contract dispute, which I still don't know why he's not signed. You lose DeMarcus Lawrence. You safeties are not where I think they should be, but they like some of the young guys in the building. You draft a young corner out of East Carolina who's coming in with the injury. So if this defense can hold teams under 15 points, this is going to be a dangerous Cowboy team. And I need it, right? We talked about my son, my middle son, Brandon. He's the only one I could rope in to be a Cowboy fan. My oldest son, all he cared about was video games and Pokemon cards and things like that. So I let him be that kind of person. But my middle son was a big sports guy. And I laugh every time I see the meme on TikTok or something where the guy's like standing outside the house and he's like, no. He's like, no, that's my son inside the house picking his Cowboy fandom. He's also a Maverick fan. And he was too young to really understand the championship in 2011. And so he's never seen a Super Bowl except when I show it to him. I got an old VHS player. I dust those VHSs off and cram him into the VHS player and let him see Super Bowls with Troy and Michael and Emmett. But it's time, isn't it? It's time. I need to see another Super Bowl before I leave this earth, because this Cowboy team is just it just feels like, even when they got a good team, the catch with Dez Bryant in Green Bay, I still haven't gotten over that. Then they had the year with DeMarco Murray where I was like, nobody's beating this team. This offense is just dirty. Dez Bryant's catching everything. DeMarco Murray's running over people. And then DeMarco Murray fumbles the ball in the playoff game versus Green Bay. Then a couple years ago, they get to the home game versus the Packers and they can't tackle to save their lives. I'm like, who is this defense? This was the number one defense in the league. What happened to you guys? I don't know. Something's got to break.
We couldn't do anything that game.
No, Dak couldn't do nothing right. The defense couldn't do nothing right. But I'm excited. This gonna be a good year. I'm happy for it. Hopefully, this is the year they finally pull it all out. They got to make an NFC Championship or a Super Bowl, or it's a failed year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because at this point, we have to give something. Something has to happen. And I know the moment the Cowboys, or the moment we win the Super Bowl, the whole city of Dallas is going to erupt. I don't care what time I have to show up for the Super Bowl parade. I don't care if I have to get there at 2:00 in the morning to get a good spot. That's where I'll be after we win the Super Bowl. I don't care if it's cold, if it's snowing. That next day, the day of the parade, I'm gonna be there.
I'll be right there next to you at 2:00 in the morning.
It is something that I need to see. And just knowing us Cowboys fans, the arrogance that we are going to have, we all walking around with some fat heads after that. You won't be able to tell us anything.
Yeah, social media is going to be on fire. I will never let you forget the Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys if they win one.
I feel like Cowboys fans will get blocked on all social media platforms because nobody will want to hear from us after that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 30 years in the making. We've had some really good teams. We have some down times too. I mean, listen, from Troy Aikman to Tony Romo, there was some tough years in there, man. It was tough being a Cowboy fan with Chad Hutchinson, Quincy Carter. I mean, Drew Bledsoe. I mean, there was some tough years, right? We got blessed with Tony Romo to Dak Prescott. There was no time in between. And I know Dak gets a lot of hate because he's the Cowboy quarterback, but he is really, really good. If you take Super Bowls away, Dak Prescott this year is going to break some of Troy Aikman and Tony Romo's records, statistically being one of the greatest Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks ever. Now, he's going to get hate because he hasn't won any Super Bowls. Tony Romo didn't either, and he was the golden child. Now, obviously, Tony Romo was undrafted. Nobody expected anything from him. But Dak was a fourth-round draft pick. Nobody expected anything out of Dak Prescott at Mississippi State.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even supposed to make the roster.
Nope.
And if Tony Romo doesn't get hurt, nobody knows who Dak Prescott is, right? He may never get a chance in Dallas. He may go somewhere else. But this is the year. They're going to do it. And it's a good year to be a Dallas fan, right? The Mavericks look like they're going on the way up. They look good. You know, the Dallas Wings got Paige Beckers. They look good. The Stars have been pretty good at hockey. I mean, it's a good time to be a Dallas fan. I just need one of those teams. Hopefully it's not the Dallas Wings in the WNBA. As much as I love Paige Beckers, I hope she does something well. I hope that's not the team that breaks the curse of championships in Dallas.
Man, I need some kind of championship coming through. So far, the last championship we've seen was the Arlington Renegades for the USFL or XFL
right
years ago. That was the last one that we've seen, and so we need something else. We need one of these major league professional teams to get something, bring a title in. I'm really looking forward to this Maverick season. Uh, just the roster that they're putting together right now.
Yeah.
Part of me was upset with Nico when he traded Luka, because I was like, man, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what the plan is. So after we got the number one pick, we drafted Cooper Flag, and we start seeing the roster fill out and be put together. Now it's like, okay, there's going to be some excitement, and I'm ready for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Kyrie is going to be out for a good majority of the season with the ACL recovery, but you talk about this roster. I mean, Anthony Davis, Cooper Flag, PJ Washington, Klay Thompson. They brought D'Angelo Russell in. They're talking really highly about this Ryan Nebhard kid that they got from Gonzaga to play point guard. They actually play July 10th at Summer League. We're going to see a bunch of these young guys play. You talk about Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. I mean, Najee Marshall. And this roster is loaded with talent, right? Obviously it's going to be how they gel. I think Jason Kidd is doing a great job building this team. I'm with you. I was so upset with Nico. I was a huge Luka Doncic fan. He was one of my favorite Mavericks outside of Dirk and Michael Finley, two of my favorite Mavs. But I trust what Nico is doing. I mean, outside of the Luka trade, he brought PJ in, he brought Gaff in, he brought Kyrie in, he brought Klay Thompson in, he brought Najee Marshall in. I mean, he's built this roster. And AD is no slouch. We got to stop. Listen, I know Luka is talented and he is really, really good. But AD is one of the greatest two-way players to ever play this game. He is a champion at every single level. And when he is healthy, he is a monster to deal with, especially at the 4 when you got a guy like Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively playing the 5. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. He is a 25-10 every single night. And you match him up where he's healthy and Kyrie's healthy and PJ on the floor. And now, if you've seen any of the tape of this Cooper Flag kid, oh, my goodness, this guy is a baller. He can shoot the basketball. He defends really, really well. I mean, he played versus USA Basketball and was cooking guys for USA Basketball. I'm excited. I can't wait. I will be at many, many games for the Dallas Mavericks this year. And hopefully, who knows, maybe the Cowboys and the Mavs do something crazy and both of them win a championship. I'll be on cloud 9. I won't know what to do if they both win a championship.
I wouldn't either, but I know I'm going to be in Dallas the day after they win.
I'll be right there with you. You let me know. We'll be there together. We'll just hang out and have a good old time. We'll tell some people about Jesus during the parade and celebrate the Mavs and the Cowboys winning the championship. Be exciting.
Be singing "We Are the Champions" like Dirk was.
Oh, man. I'll never forget him running off the floor when they won against the Heat. Just a great experience, and I can't wait to live that experience again through our sports teams. It's important to me. Like I grew up, my dad is a diehard Green Bay Packer. And thank goodness I didn't become a Packer fan. I'll tell you that story later. I became a Cowboy fan. It's kind of crazy, but I'm so glad I became a Cowboy fan. I got to watch 3 Super Bowls with the triplets. It's a great thing. I mean, you see the room. My room is decorated in Dallas Cowboy stuff. Obviously, Deion Sanders is my favorite athlete of all time. I love Deion Sanders, but man, I got memorabilia from all over, like Jason Witten, Randy White. I mean, I am a diehard Cowboy, and I deserve a championship in 2025.
We're going to keep praying for one. We're going to keep petitioning the Lord to allow
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He hears all our prayers.
We've been wandering the desert for far too long. It's time to get to the promised land now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, it was great talking to you, as always. And just like we mentioned in the first chance, or the first time that we linked up, we're gonna keep each other accountable on this weight loss journey.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep uplifting each other, pushing each other, because we're gonna hit our goals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm praying for you and the wife. Praying for your ministry. I've been blessed. You talked about we had met like 10 years ago. I've been blessed. Anytime I reach out, man, you there. We've had a chance to link up a couple of times at your wedding. You got to come through for another wedding here in Austin area. So You're one of the guys that I call my brother. I'm blessed to call you my friend. And obviously this was a no-brainer to jump on the podcast, man. I love what you're doing. I continue to pray for you and the family, and anything that you need, man, you call me. I'm there. You need anything, man. But I appreciate the invite. Was a great time to chop it up and have a good conversation.
Yes, sir. And it's the same on my end as well. If you ever need anything, just a phone call away. You're one of those ones where if I see your name pop up on the caller ID, I'm shutting everything down to pick up the phone.
Amen.
All right. Tell the family I said hello.
I certainly will. I certainly will. Appreciate you.
See you guys.